is Wanda Raschkow. Wanda is the Utah Statewide Heritage Site Stewardship Coordinator. She's working at the Friends of Cedar Mesa in Bluff, Utah. Thank you for joining us, Wanda.
Thank you, Beth, for the introduction. And I want to thank all of you site stewards who have joined us today. And I think that all of the panelists will agree with me that this is our way of giving something back to you for all of the time and effort that you put into helping us protect our resources. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about paperwork, because we all love paperwork. So fortunately, there are some new ways of dealing with paperwork in the 21st century. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the apps that are available to all of us out there. Now, this is not going to be a detailed dissection or discussion of the pros and cons of any particular app. I want to highlight 4 different apps and talk a little bit about what's out there, what's available for you and your agencies to streamline paperwork. You know, I haven't met very many people who say they love to do paperwork. I mean, I'm pretty detail-oriented, but I'm not really all that good at having very detailed field notes. And my handwriting's pretty much illegible. So if I go to the field and I take handwritten notes, then I need to go home and convert those notes into something that someone can read. My field notes are a mess. So that means I have to take extra time to type up my field notes and then to download my photos, add a photo log, put all that together in some sort of a bundle and send it off to the land manager. All of this takes time, all of it's messy, and we've got these wonderful little things that we carry around in our hands these days, these tiny little computers. So it just seems like there should be a better way to do paperwork than using the traditional pen and pencil on paper. So in terms of looking at apps and trying to decide what you might want to use as a tool for your site stewards, there are some things you should consider. First of all, I think it's really important that there be a space where the stewards can just make comments, general observations, and not be locked into a drop-down menu or a pick list, but they can kind of describe those things that might not fit into a standard form. Also, you should be able to have baseline photos. And those baseline photos can be the first photos that a steward has taken on their first visit to a site, or perhaps you upload legacy photos from a site form. You need to have those first photos, those baseline photos, so that when you come back, you can tell if there's been a change. And you also need to be able to upload updated photos that document those changes. For the agencies, it's really important to crank out year-end reports. And in those year-end reports, you need to be able to track volunteer hours and mileage. That counts in terms of your yearly accomplishments as an agency archaeologist. Also, in some cases, those hours and mileage count as in-kind donations and can help your organization secure grants and funding for your program. Another thing that's very important is that the app provides you with a way to directly alert land managers when there is a critical incident or significant damage that needs to be responded to quickly. Also, the app should allow for site stewards to see what other site stewards have done. Who was at the site last? What did the site look like then? Has it changed since that person was at the site? So these are all things that you should look at or think about when you're considering adding or adapting an app. And for the stewards, there's really 2 kind of general breakdowns in terms of how they access the app. The apps can be mobile or they can be accessed online. And these are the 4 different apps I'm going to talk about and the ways they differ and how they're being used by the programs. So the first program I'll talk about is the South Park Site Stewards from Colorado, and their program coordinator, Linda Carr, talked with me at length about their app and how they conduct their stewardship. They have about 26 stewards right now, and they're working in a National Park Service unit that is actually managed by the Park County Department of Heritage Tourism, and they have other agency partners that they work with. They have chosen to use ArcGIS products, and ArcGIS is a product of ESRI out of Redlands, California. It's commonly used by federal, state agencies, cities, counties, and generally those agencies will have a GIS coordinator that can create and manage the tools. And it's a fairly technical app, so you need to have someone that knows the product and can develop your tools. Fortunately for South Park Site Stewards, they have a nonprofit association that has been able to provide ArcGIS licenses for them, a laptop for the volunteer that helps coordinate the apps, and a tablet for each site leader. How they operate is that they assign sites to a specific site leader, and that site leader essentially owns that site or group of sites. And so they get the tablet, and they go to the field with other people, or other stewards come to them and get the tablet, and they share that tablet around between all the stewards for a specific site. They use ArtCollector for recording new finds, features, artifacts, unrecorded sites, and they use Survey 123 for recording their site steward observations or monitoring visits. And sort of the difference between ArtCollector and Survey 123 is that ArtCollector is a little more difficult to use, but it does record things to a map. So you're holding a map in your hand when you're in the field, and you can see that the placement of your point is correct relative to that map. Survey 123, on the other hand, provides smart forms that guide you through the process of recording data. Oops, sorry. And some things are required. You can't go forward in the app until you answer a particular question. And so here we have the question, were impacts observed? And if they were, it opens another set of questions so that you can document what the impacts were. And then you can see that it also records who was there with you, what time you came and went, and how long you spent at the site. So again, your mileage and time is tracked. When you're done recording the site, you can save it to Outbox, edit it later. When you return to connectivity, you can finalize the site and it will be synced so that the reports can be accessed and seen by other stewards. And then there's their website if you want to check out their program. A little different version of an app is the one that Discover Denver uses. Discover Denver has set out to document all of these structures in Denver. They want to catalog the historic sites and document the architectural significance of all the historic buildings within Denver, which is kind of an amazing undertaking. So their director, Beth Glandon, has an IT background. So even though their app was created by an outside group, Beth is able to work with the app, change the forms, maintain, do all the behind the scenes things for them. So their volunteers will conduct archival research. They encourage public input, and they try to get oral histories and learn more about the sites that they're recording. And they prepare some amazing reports. They provide the historic context for a neighborhood, include photos, National Register recommendations for properties. I recommend you go to their site, and I have the address later, and look at some of the reports. They're pretty amazing. Their field volunteers are the ones who go out to document the actual buildings. So the software was developed through a grant, and as I said, Beth is able to customize the forms, and the forms are stored on a cloud server, the photos are on an Amazon server. And in the background, on the side that Beth is working with, she can export tables for the reports, she can see what's been done, what needs to be done, so she has a good deal of information at her fingertips with this app. For the volunteers out in the field, this is what they see. They select the property that they're standing in front of, and then they decide what level of survey needs to be done. Now, obviously, if you're standing in front of a vacant lot, you're not going to have to answer a lot of questions. But if you are doing a full survey on a building, then you're going to have a series of drop downs that ask general information, information about windows, roofs, doors, alterations, and there will be mandatory items that must be completed. Again, tablets are provided to the volunteers. They survey in groups and they have a team leader. So the team leader picks up the tablets, they all go out to the field and they just share the tablets among the team. When they're done recording in an area, the team leader gathers together all the tablets and returns them to the organization. And there's their website. Really check them out. They're doing some amazing things. And I'm not going to tell you much about the Arizona Site Stewardship Program because you just heard from Sean, and he's filled you in on all the things that they do in their program. And there are 650 volunteers that are working in their various regions. One of the issues that they had problems with was their online reporting system. And so Sean has completely revamped the system. Again, it was created by an outside contractor. Sean can do some adjustments to it, but if they need to go to change the form dramatically or change any of the processes, they need to go back to the contractor for assistance. So one of the things I like about this online program is that it contains what they call site kits. So once you've got a password and you log in, you can click on your site and you will find the sketch maps, the photos, the site records, all the information you need about that site in order to do a good job of monitoring. Again, it will track volunteer hours, mileage, and including training times. And another thing that's nice is it also has the instructions for the use of the app are right there on the main menu, which is incredibly handy. So it guides you through, as the other two apps did. It will guide you through. You fill in the blanks and work your way through. There are some things that are mandatory. You have to put in the date and you have to put in vandalism codes. So this idea, the vandalism codes, is interesting because you have a pick list, so you can select what types of things are you seeing at the site. And that ensures consistency, and it makes it easier to query your data rather than having people misspell pothole 400 ways so that you can't query it. You just look for vandalism code 02. And you're able to upload photos and then type in a description of those photos. Again, another thing that I find really interesting about this online approach is that the team that is assigned to a site can see each other's reports, but even better, there's like a correspondence folder, so you can send internal communication to all the team members. So if there is vandalism at a site, you can pick the email list. You want to send it to the other stewards, the land manager, your regional coordinator, and send them a notification that there's been vandalism. But you could also send notifications that there's currently a bee swarm or the road is impassable. So I find this really good because I think communication is essential. And this is one of the best ways I've seen of an app communicating between team members. The last app I want to talk about is the one I know best, because it was developed by the Friends of Cedar Mesa in collaboration with the Utah Bureau of Land Management. And what we wanted to do was Design an app that would be simple and easy to use. It would protect confidential data, so there is no location data. And I think I heard Sarah say that there's no location data in their app, so it can't be hacked and people can't find their way to a site. It collects baseline photos and allows for updates through a pick list. The photos, when you download them, come out labeled according to what type of impact they're documenting. There's significant room for comments, observations, and you are able to review previous site visits and see what your co-stewards have been up to. It works on Android, iPhone, tablets, and as you saw at the beginning, there's also an online version of this. We have some stewards who haven't converted to smartphones or don't want to take their phone to the field. I have one steward who prefers to take photos with his Nikon camera rather than with his phone, so that he gets really high quality photos. So there is a version that you can use for your laptop and your PC so that you can upload photos from your camera. You can wait till you get home to fill out all the forms. And basically, you see there, you have an option, continue with site report, take baseline photos, or view the previous reports. The image in the middle here is the home page that the stewards see. So it's really pretty simple. Logging training hours, starting a new site report, and then if you're like me, you have a list of site reports that maybe you haven't finished yet. So that's what the steward sees. When they enter the form, it reinforces safety messages, and then it sends you to the form directly, which guides you through collecting data. This is the homepage that the administrators see. So they are able to run reports, add in users, add sites, assign sites to users, download photos, and manage a distribution list. And the distribution list is email notification list. So anyone that you put on that distribution list, if there is a significant impact to a site, they will get an email alert. As you can see that I have 12 new notifications, and I'm ignoring them because that's the practice version of ArcMonitor. So what the administrator will see is if they open the app, they'll see they have notifications. They can go directly to the report and see what the problem is, but they also receive that email notice. They themselves can log training hours, and they can do their own site reports if they are out managing site reports. It's compatible with ArcGIS. You can add the Excel table into ArcGIS, and it will generate photo logs. So those are the 4 apps that I wanted to go over with you guys, and that was, I know, a whirlwind tour, but here are things to think about. Once again, things to consider if you're looking at bringing digital recording into your program. And I think the first and most important is, how easy is it to use and learn? Because if it's not easy, you're going to invest a lot of time in training, and you may get some pushback from your stewards who really still want to use paper and are not really sure they want to contribute to learning a new approach. What are the hardware needs? And are you going to expect the steward to supply their own phone, their own tablet? And as far as hardware, how much memory is the app going to need? How good is the camera? And will that piece of hardware hold up under the environmental conditions that your steward may encounter in the field? What are the reporting capabilities? It's great when information goes in, but how do the administrators get the information out? And will it streamline their reporting requirements? Where's the data stored? Is it going to be stored on your own servers? Now, if you're working with ArcGIS and a federal agency, you may be able to store all your data on the agency servers, but most of the apps, you're going to be storing your data in the cloud, and it seems Amazon is kind of winning in terms of who's getting most of the storage calls. Who's going to maintain that program? ArcGIS, if you have a GIS specialist on staff, then you have someone who can help maintain your program. You can also reach out to ESRI for a fee and have them do additional work with your tool. With a lot of, well, the model for most apps these days, and this is cost, you have to consider data storage and your program maintenance. Most apps, you pay an upfront charge to develop the app, but then you also pay a subscription fee yearly for that program maintenance and for data storage. So that's one of the things you need to consider too, is cost. So there's my email address, and please, if you want to know any more about these 4 programs, drop me a note. If I can't answer the question, I will put you in contact with either Sean or Beth or Linda Carr and have them talk to you about their program. And if you're currently using an app, I'd love to have you drop me a note, because I'd like to hear what you're using and what you think are the strong points of the app that you're using.
Thank you, Wanda. It's certainly putting us into the future, let's say, with our site stewardship programs.